Yeah, we're more than happy to have picked up Karting set the Campillos to conclude this season in 1 month, as you said. So not a lot of time to get everything together, but on this beautiful track that came out of the ground 16 years ago, back in 2005, thanks to the effort of Mr. Martin Rivers and his entire crew here at Campillos, the impossible has been made possible in the end for this FIA Karting World Championship, the pinnacle of karting racing worldwide. And thanks again for tuning in wherever you are in the world, as we are live on FIAkarting.com, on Motorsport TV, and everywhere on social media.
So we're getting ready for the biggest spectacle in world karting if you are under the age of 14. The Junior World Championship, such a phenomenal spectacle. There have been many Junior World Cups and World Championships over the years that have seen some of the young stars of the future be crowned in magnificent and glorious fashion. It's a catalogue of the who's who of the future of motorsport that have won Junior World Cups and World Championships in the past. Alain Prost, Andrea De Cesaris, Stefano Modena, Bernd Schneider, Jan Magnussen, Giorgio Pantano, James Courtney, Fernando Alonso, Alexander Albon, Jake Dennis, Charles Leclerc, Enem Ahmed, Logan Sargent, Victor Martins, Dexter Patterson and Thomas Ten Brinker amongst the many names that have gone on to great things in motorsport after winning a Junior World Cup or a World Championship. And these are the new contenders to try and claim that crown. There are 36 of them from all 4 corners of the globe, and we will introduce them to you one by one as they line up in position in the starting grid. Your pole position sitter, David Walter for Denmark. A fantastic performer, fastest in time qualifying, and he, as well as everyone else, will pose with the FIA Karting president, Felipe Massa. Thomas Stolchemanis, second on the starting grid, the Latvian, smooth and perfect throughout. His fluidity and composure has been immaculate. Third position on the grid for Marcus Saita. He has been such a revelation over the course of the weekend, and the Norwegian is in third. Keanu Alazari lines up in 4th position, flying the colours of Germany for the Tony Kart factory team. 5th position, the American sensation James Igotzi, also of the Tony Kart factory team. Perfect yesterday, 4 wins out of 5 this weekend. Max Popov will compete for the Russian Athletic Federation as he runs for the Ward Racing team in 6th on the grid. Next up, it is the Dutch talent Renee Lammers, his first ever World Championship, and he runs for the Paralin Motorsport team. For Jamaica, it's Alex Powell, part of the Mercedes Junior program and racing in the Argenti Motorsport colours in the KART Republic awning. Next up for Japan, it's Kian Nakamura Berta, already an incredible whirlwind season as a youngster. Here he is in the World Championship for Forza. Then it's Maxim Rem of Germany for the Ricky Flynn Motorsport team, and he lines up in the top 10. For Belgium, it's Ian Eichmans, who won brilliantly in his final heat this morning, and he has a real chance to return to the podium. Anatoly Kavalkin is next up in the Paralin Motorsport squad. What can he do from the 6th row of the grid? Freddie Slater, the reigning world and European champion, perfect throughout this weekend. One retirement has been all that's held him back. Dion Gowda, his teammate from Singapore for the Ricky Flynn Motorsport team. Let's see what he can create today. For Denmark, it's Jonathan Waywa, returning to the FIA karting paddock, fast and smooth. Alongside him on the grid for France, it's Jimmy Helias, the latest addition to the Tony Kart factory team. Akshay Bora is next up for Singapore for the KART Republic Motorsport team. And he lines up on the grid alongside his teammate, Matthias Ferreira, the flying sensation from Brazil. Then it's the Finn Luca Samalisto, one of the stars of the weekend. A brilliant performance from him so far. And alongside him on the grid, the Frenchman, Enzo Deligny, who brilliantly won last week's warm-up final. He could charge through from the middle of the pack. Kiddie Kutzkov lines up next in formation, the latest addition to the Forza Racing lineup. And he lines up beside Dmitry Matveev, one of Koski Motorsport's rising young talents. What can he do from the mid-pack? Frenchman Arthur Dorisson comes up next. He's also moved to the Tony Kart factory team in time for a World Championship push. Kai Sorensen of the United States, he lines up for Forza Racing, and he could do big things from his position. Next up for Japan, it's Shu Zono of the Energy Course team. He flew in this morning's warm-up to finish P2. He could well do it again in the rain. Arthur Poulain of France for the Cosmic Racing department. He'll be there in the mid-pack trying to storm forward. For Brazil, it's Miguel Costa of the Sauber Orlen karting team. He still has high hopes and plenty of chances to move forward. Jens Truer, one of the latest additions to the karting paddock here in the FIA, and the Dutchman is very welcome with brilliant speed and candour. Edgar Anpiligov of France for the Ricky Flynn Motorsport team. He's there towards the rear end, but he will fight back. For Finland, it's one of the newcomers, Daniel Volberg, who races in the Ward Racing colours with the Tony KART chassis. What can he do as he emerges through the pack? The two Spanish talents will be next up, Aran Garcia in the Birolart Racing awning, and he will be lining up alongside his countryman, Enzo Tarnvanichkul, another new face in the FIA karting paddock. Expect him to return in 2022. Jan Pisodowski of Poland for the Tony KART Racing team. A tough weekend, but he's not done yet. Alexander Bondarev of Ukraine, one of the privateers in the field, and he's made it to the World Championship final. Max Orlov of the Paralin team scrapes in after a feisty drive over the heats. And finally, for Austria, it's Oscar Verts. Having moved to the Tony KART factory team, he now has a World Championship to fight for.
What a fantastic grid that is. 36 of the best young karting drivers in the world. There were more than 100 of them at the start of this World Championship event, but only 36 of them for the last showdown of the weekend. What a grid that is. Plenty of young talents. As you can see, some of the handshakes for the last encouragement before we get going for 16 laps, as we are live here with Mr. Felipe Massa, again, the FIA Karting president that we have once again with pleasure this weekend to conclude the 2021 season. As you can see, the conditions have been rather difficult for the past few hours. We had a bit of rain this morning to mix things up, but it's come back again this time for the first race of the two that we're going to have this afternoon. So plenty of challenges, tricky conditions to master on this already challenging layout of Campillos. 1.6 almost kilometer, 16 corners, and a lot of positive feedback from the young competitors from the junior class. We're live here on the grid with the 110. This is Anatoly Kavalkin from Parolin, who is about to get behind the wheel. He will be starting from Anatoly Kavalkin, row number 6, ready to fight.
We have many esteemed guests here at the circuit, of course, making this the World Championship it deserves to be. We have obviously Jose Maria Arada, the sporting director of Junta Andalucia. The mayor of Campillos, Francisco Guerrero, is here as well. We also have Ignacio Avino, the karting president of the Spanish Federation, and Manuel Alonso of the Foundation of Sport in Andalusia. And of course, Martin and Gerard Ruvers, the men who make Kart Center Campillos what it is. Freddie Slater, we just saw there, getting himself ready. He could become back-to-back world champion here this weekend. And this man, Anatoly Kavalkin, will be trying his best to stop that from happening. Racing under the banner of the Russian Athletic Federation. There's the 1-2-2. That is Dion Gauda, the Singaporean for Ricky Flynn Motorsport. He's already had a very successful season in 2021. The 5-minute board goes up. So 5 minutes until the biggest show in town kicks off. Freddie Slater there. There's Jonathan Waywa. Another great comeback story for him. He disappeared mid-season, but he has returned with the RSC competition awning, and he has been one of the stars of this weekend.
Yeah, a lot of stars this weekend throughout, and this is what we love to do, coming to this beautiful event, because many drivers have nothing to lose. This is the pinnacle of the season, and a couple of names that we didn't expect coming to this event have actually popped up at the forefront of the classification all throughout. David Walter, starting for pole position, has shown tremendous pace all throughout the season, especially last weekend coming to this event. It's confirmed that. As you can see, the wet tires are very much on for all the competitors. We are here with one of the stars from Czech Republic, Matthias Ferreira, one of the young Brazilian stars and young talent, supported, of course, by Mr. Felipe Massa. So Matthias Ferreira, let's see what he can do on track. There's a couple of them actually more than willing to maybe seal the deal and get the title and get the job done in the end. But there will be a lot to do for Matthias Ferreira, who had a bit of a struggle at the end of his qualifying heat, as he will be starting from the mid-pack of the grid.
And I tell you what, tyre pressures are going to be the key to this final. The difficulty we have at the moment is while the rain is coming down, it is not torrential, so it's not fully wet, it's not fully dry. The only option in these conditions and with these temperatures are the wet tyres, but there's not going to be a huge amount of water to actually bed into the tread, so these tyres will wear out fairly quickly. This is all going to come down to tyre pressures from the mechanics to get it right, and from the drivers, how they can look after their tyres over the course of these 16 laps. This is going to take maturity, patience, and real skill. This is not just going to be a lottery of a race. This is going to be about who can measure themselves carefully over the course of this race. There is the 117, Kai Sorensen of the United States of America. A real opportunity for him to storm his way forward. 3 minutes, 3-minute board goes up. And so with the 3-minute board up in the air, it is time for the drivers to be left on the circuit by just their mechanics, who will obviously help push them off onto the circuit. So what an exceptional battle we are set for in the FIA Karting World Championship. Last year's champion, Freddy Slater, in even more torrential conditions than this in Portimao. This one will be even harder to win. From 13th on the grid, and with not a fully wet track, anyone could win this.
Yeah, let's see what's going to happen. Freddy Slater is certainly one of the young drivers who like those conditions. We've seen him compete at this level, climbing through the ranks over the course of the weekend and fighting at the forefront. Last weekend wasn't so easy for him, but he made a lot of places up. But for those of you who were with us for the past few seasons, you might have noticed that back in 2019 in Alhama, last year in Portimao, and this time around in Campillos, the rain has been the unexpected guest of the battles on track. So once again, difficult conditions that those young drivers are going to have to face, but this is where the skills and the potential of those young competitors, those warriors on wheels, can really shine. Despite the fact not having the sun above our heads, it's been so for the majority of the week, but we had expected the rain is here right now, and this is going to give us one heck of a show, that's for sure.
It's the third year in consecutive years that we have had a wet final for both the junior and senior finals, after Alhama in 2019 and Portimao in 2020. Here we are in 2021 at Karting Center Campillos, and the Spanish flag blowing in the breeze, as you can see on the main straight. The winds have been very strong here, and that has made things equally difficult. The drainage of the circuit is going to be very useful for the competitors as we get ourselves ready to roll, but it's going to be a very, very tough battle ahead. The 1 minute board goes up over the circuit, and now we get ourselves ready.